How's it going, guys? My name is Michael Rodriguez. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be on the topic of the LGBTQ plus community. And guys, we need to talk. So the reason why I felt the need to make this video is because, you know, I've been out in the community since I was in 3rd grade. I was the first one to come out in my class, and ever since then I kind of helped out some of the classmates, I opened up the doors for them. And so being that I've been in this community out and about and proud, I've noticed a lot of things, and we're in the year 2021 now, and I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot being in this community, and I've learned the good side and the bad side. But today I want to go over at least 9 different reasons and things that I feel like we need to talk about, that I feel like not people don't really talk about that much, and some things I feel like need to be acknowledged. Guys, let's talk. So let's go with number 1, sexuality, and how flexible it is now. So today, in today's society, now these days, self-expression is probably the most versatile it's ever been. It is probably self-expression has been around for a long time in the most drastic way, especially it started in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We started to see a change in people's in the lifestyle of humanity, in general. But today, we are starting to see a big, broad audience of people, regardless of any sexuality, regardless of who you are, where people are starting to just express themselves in general, period, in the most beautiful and most drastic ways, and it's awesome. And so, with that, it goes into the topic of masculinity and femininity and the differences. And so I just wanted to go over those certain topics of masculinity, femininity, and then sexuality, and then what it means in between and all around all that. And I just wanted to clarify a few things, like for example, femininity with a guy does not mean that he's considered weak. For some reason, that's always been a viewpoint of mostly ignorant folks, for some reason. And also, masculinity does not always mean that it's the person is heartless or they're hiding their femininity on purpose. A person is who they are, regardless if they're strictly feminine or strictly masculine or somewhere in between. That's who they are. And it's not really our job to dissect why is it that their femininity or masculinity is the way that it is. They just are. And for us to judge that, it's an unhealthy habit, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. I've noticed that in the community, there seems to be a heavy judgment when it comes to these two things, or the combination of both in the community. And I've heard it so many times, you're too feminine, you're too masculine, you're not feminine enough, or you're not masculine enough. And I've just seen so much judgment on this, and it breaks my heart. I'm guilty of it. Back in the years ago, probably like 7 to 8 years ago, I used to be heavily judgmental with who I wanted to date and who I wanted to be intimate with. And I was attracted to a certain scene, and that was fine, but I did make it very known to a lot of potentials that I probably could have dated and had a lot of experience with, and I pushed them aside strictly because I wanted to be pickiness with their choice of masculinity and femininity. Thank God that that's not a thing anymore, and I'm so glad that I overcame that. And now I find myself being able to date, befriend, be intimate with either or in between, and it's beautiful. It's great. I have so much experience with it. It's I don't know why it's a thing, but it is. And so I just wanted to clarify that when it comes to sexuality, masculinity and femininity and everything in between and all around should not matter. We have to accept each other as is. We are all going to have differences sexually, personally, emotionally, mentally. That's okay. But don't judge someone else for having a difference, but don't judge someone for having a difference for what they like personally. It might be completely different from yours, but we shouldn't be judging each other based on that. It is what it is. Go about your business and like what you like and live life. There's absolutely no reason for us to be pointing fingers or gossiping or commenting on how we feel about another person's attraction to whatever they're attracted to. It's unnecessary. It's drama, and it's just something that I feel like we all need to work on. I've seen a lot of it, and yes, so that's what I'm basically trying to say, guys, is let's try to work on that and accept masculinity, femininity for what they are, and masculinity and femininity being expressed at the same time. We do this, we're going to have a better chance of having friends and partners and live a more healthier and less drama life. Number 2, straight women falling for gay men. And so we come to a subject where I haven't heard anyone talk about this that much, so I did want to bring it up. And so I guess when it comes to this certain situation, always be 100% with your intentions. Be open, but know your limitations and know your boundaries. Be yourself, but when it comes to, I guess when you figure out, that you have a good solid friendship in your hands, right? And you just happen to notice that there might be one of you might have some sort of attraction, and they make it very obvious. If for some reason that they tell you that, hey, I'm attracted to you, I don't know what you're into, but I like you, right? And if it just so happens to be a straight woman or a bi woman, and we're just going to use those for example, attracted to a gay male, this is the same situation when a gay man falls for a straight guy. That's the next one. And so we have to remember that, I know why this happens. I know why. Because gay men, we tend to be, we're in touch with our femininity. And women, because of their sex, they can relate to that, or at least feminine women. I guess, yes, this one's going to be pertaining more to feminine women in and heterosexuality in general. And so I just wanted to make that clear. And so if that were to happen, just know and just communicate. Just know to communicate. Do it respectfully, and just let each other know what are the boundaries, what are the yeses, what are the nos. Because I've heard of situations where a man, he puts the label on himself that he is homosexual, but I've heard of situations where, yes, it's very possible for a man to develop something for a woman, and he never thought that would happen. And so this goes into number 3, gays falling for straight men. And also, I'm going to add this in there, down low men that are married. This one right here is probably one of the heaviest ones I wanted to cover, because it is such a big thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about. At least not in conversation. I see this subject tend to be ignored, and I'm like, oh man, because I've had this experience. And so, hear me out. When it comes to this, it's the same thing. The same thing applies. Communicate. Be open, but know your boundaries. If you don't do that, and you just let it flow the way, just because you are getting along great, that does not guarantee that it's always that connection is always going to be like that, you know? Sometimes everyone is just temporary, friends and partners. But if you want to make it last longer, you have to communicate. Especially if feelings get involved. And you have to make sure that the other party is doing the same thing as well and reciprocating that. And so, if he knows what he wants, then okay. I would rather, I'm not promoting that by all means, but if you wanted to go ahead and just say, okay, F it. They're hot, they're curious, why not? But at least he's making it known, and at least he's public about it. That's a little bit more of a safer route than this next one. I strongly do not recommend messing around with someone who calls themselves confused. Even curious. The chase with that, it's a whole different level. It's different. It's a chase that I'm pretty sure that a lot of us, you know, we when we hear about that, and we hear that from another guy, and I'll use me as a gay man, for example, when we hear another guy say that, that is automatically a game changer. If we score and it happens, the chase with that is almost addicting, and that's not good. That the chase for that, I don't know if it could be something mental, it could be something sexual, it's obviously both, but the chase for that is very unhealthy, and it's a game that I'm pretty sure a lot of us have done and tried. Honestly, sometimes you win, but majority of the time we all just get hurt, like bad, like real bad. And so we always fantasize, that's the word I'm looking for, we always fantasize over the idea of converting. And if you converted someone, oh my god, then it boosts your ego. And then you catch yourself in the habit of being stuck on that habit of wanting to convert, and then always chase, and then always getting heartbroken and let down, and then feeling like you're being used because you allowed it. You know, you made yourself, you allowed it. And so if you're someone who does this and it doesn't really affect you emotionally, and it's just a really, you know, a personal kink for you, and it's not going to bother you mentally or emotionally to where it's going to affect your life and your mental well-being, sure. If it rocks you off in that way, and you're all good up here and here, go for it, you nasty hoe. So another thing is, tell him. If you start to develop feelings for someone, tell them. And do it as early as possible. Don't keep it in. Don't keep it back. And as scary as that is, guys, the last thing you want to do is not inform someone that these feelings are becoming stronger and they're developing. You don't know what's going to happen. I know it's scary when you feel like you are eventually going to have to. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to lose them forever. You don't know if they're going to have the same feelings. You don't know what's going to happen, but it has to happen. And the more that you prolong it, the more it's going to mess you up in both of these areas. So tell them. And so we come into the other situation, like number 2. There have been situations and stories of men that identify as heterosexual. You know, there have been situations and stories where they do end up falling for, you know, that one guy, or maybe 2 guys. And honestly, there's absolutely nothing wrong with someone, or any of us, putting a certain title on ourselves, even though labels are not necessary. But if we were to go by a label, and that label is how everyone knows us by, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going against that title and doing something else on a personal and sexual and emotional level. If a straight man just so happens to develop feelings for a guy and he never thought that would happen, that should be okay. If a gay man falls for a woman and he never thought that would happen, that should be okay. And so, this is vice versa with all sexualities in all situations. But these two, I feel like, those two examples right there, I feel like needed to be covered a little bit more, because I feel like they don't get talked about enough. And also, the last thing when it comes to number 3 is, once that happens, is it possible to continue? Is it going to be possible for y'all to have a long-lasting friendship relationship? Is it going to be healthy? Can y'all keep it healthy? Do you think it's going to end up toxic? And discuss, talk about it. Is it going to be possible to continue? Because you don't know what's going to happen. He's either going to reject you, or he's either going to accept you, or he's either going to claim you. And you don't know. You don't know. And that's the scariest part about it. But you have to get it done. You can't ignore that. Number 4 are the consequences of ignoring number 2 and 3. Drug use, depression, mental illness, and suicide. This one is another heavy topic I feel like we need to acknowledge as well. This one seems to be one of the heaviest problems in our community, unfortunately. And for the sake of my own video on my own channel and just talking to everyone in the community in general, and in this video, just keep in mind, this video is not only just for the community. This is a video for everybody to watch, and I'm just hoping that everyone learns something from this. And so everyone's welcome to watch this video regardless of who or what you are. That's I just want to make that very clear. So when it comes to number 4 and these things, it's increasing the amount of mental illness and depression and suicide, especially suicide. I've looked up the numbers and I've done some research. It's sad. It's so sad seeing that even kids, 11, 10 years old, committing these acts. It's such a touchy subject, but it has to be covered. And so, I myself have had these experiences. And so, I've came to terms with who I am, how I feel, and what I have. We can't help how we're raised. We can't help who we're around. Maybe we can. And the only way that you can control all of that is when you're grown up out of someone else's hands and you make that decision and control with how you want your life to be. But majority of us know that depending on how you're raised and your lifestyle is depending on how you're going to come out, how you're going to act, how you're going to handle, how you're going to react, and how you're going to live your life. And, period. And so, drug use, depression, anxiety, mental illness in general, and then suicide being the final outcome. These are the things that will happen if we don't communicate. If we ignore these things, it's going to be a bad result, and there's been too much proof of it. It's been shown time and time again that, there's a reason why these suicide numbers they keep increasing. And, you know, I can honestly tell y'all publicly that I'm a survivor. And so, you know, I've come to realize, you know, what I need to do and what needs to be done in order to remind myself that I'm valuable, I'm important, and it doesn't matter what had happened in my past or, you know, what I might have, but I need to help myself. And I can't let what the past did to me affect what could be in the current or in the future. And that's so hard to do, especially if maybe somehow, you know, you developed these mental illnesses because of your childhood, because of your lifestyle. It's stuck with you. So the point is, with this situation, guys, help is everywhere. It really is. Find it with therapy, medication, even through a positive hobby. Like, what makes you happy? Like, who are you, and what are the things that you enjoy? Do it. Go for it. You know, is it your job? Is it a side hobby? You know, find that one thing or the few things that you as an individual enjoy that help you with, you know, that state. And then keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep practicing it until it becomes an actual hobby. And then you're going to realize, oh, I don't feel like that anymore. And so the next thing is finally coming to terms with that it's an unhealthy issue. Acknowledging it, being self-aware that this is something that you might have. So after you do that, the next thing is stop, escape, fix, or find out what is the cause. You know, have some me time and try to think about, you know, what is the real cause of this with yourself. You know, was it your past? Is it something current? If it's something current, you have the capability as an adult to make the decision to try to make that change. And we all do. And so I've noticed an unhealthy pattern and a cycle of people that keep themselves in toxic relationships because they were used to it as a kid. So they, you know, for some reason, people tend to keep themselves in a recognizable pattern or a cycle of, you know, manipulation, abuse, narcissism. I could go on. And for some reason, a lot of people tend to, you know, repeat these same issues because of their lifestyle and what they were used to. And so whenever we meet someone who goes against that, like if we meet a genuine person that doesn't have those same experiences, but they are a genuine person, that scares us, you know? And then we view someone like that, oh, they didn't have the same experiences, so they're not going to accept me, and I don't accept them because they don't know what I've been through. I understand that, but you have to understand every single one of us has a different life, and not everybody's going to understand, and then there is a lot of people that do understand. But the one thing you don't want to do is to try to help others when you can't even help yourself. And so these subjects and these issues need to be talked about more. They need to be brought up in conversation. You need to get the help. You have to spread this word. You have to help each other with this. We got to do this for each other. We got to do this for ourselves. In any way possible, whenever you can, get the help, talk about it, make conversation about it, and get mental illness out there because it needs to be talked about a little bit more. Especially if, you know, in this generation, you know, it can shine a light in a way that it's never done before. And we also have to remember our elders didn't have this world that we live in now. And so they were raised with a certain mindset that, you know, tough it out. You know, oh, that's whack. We don't do that. That's weak. We don't talk about our emotions. We don't talk about these issues. That's weak. Stay tough. Tough it out. And what that actually did was, the result of, you know, suppressing that was that our parents, grandparents, and our family and so forth, ancestors and whatnot, by not talking about it, you know, you get raised a certain way from people like that. And what's funny is, I was raised a certain way, but when I grew up and I hit my teenage years, I went completely against every single thing that I was taught as a kid, because I knew who I was. I've always known who I was. And so that covers that. So let's get to number 5. Be there for each other and stop the competition. When someone gets disowned, gets broken up with, and losing friends, be the example. And don't separate each other in this, you know, from all these different scenes inside the community. We need to unite. We need to support one another, you know? All these different kinds of people that are in the community. It don't matter. Of course we all have different body types. Of course we all have different races, different ethnicities, different sexes, different sexualities. We are all completely different. If you are the kind of person that just wants to put a label at, you know, because that's how you were taught to communicate, okay, fine. If someone says that they are not comfortable with you putting that label on them, respect that and accept that. And so, but if you go against that, you're just an a-hole. And so, with that, the point is, I've seen so much unnecessary competition, and I never understood why. It's the competition for, you know, and I never understood why. It's unnecessary to me. What I don't understand is how come a majority of the time everyone's first reaction, and I'll use gay men for example, why is it that everyone's first reaction is, I don't like them? You don't know them. You don't know me. I don't know you. But you don't like me because we have that one thing in common? How is that logical? How does that make sense? Because they might have the reputation of having more partners or more sexual relations than you do, that's automatically a no for you. You see how that sounds? It's not, it's weird, it's not right. I don't understand it. And so what should be happening is, well, that one thing you have in common, which just so happens to be sexuality. How do you know that you're not gonna, you know, hit it off? And I understand another thing that comes with that is people assuming, and I'll bring this up, people assuming just because you are a gay man and there's another gay man in the room that you are automatically going to be partners, pals, besties, whatever, on the spot, on the go, and people just don't seem to get that, you know, it don't work like that. But we also can't keep disregarding the possibility of that, hey, they might be a cool homie, they might be a cool friend, you know, and instead we jump to, I don't like them. That's another unhealthy habit I wanted to bring up, guys, and that's number 5. And number 6 is real life dating and dating apps. So when it comes to this, own your intentions and never confuse others. And I've noticed that a lot of us tend to complain, vent, and express the same issue, and that I keep hearing the words, the community is toxic. Why is it toxic? Why do you think that is? Are you doing anything to change that? How are you supposed to want a certain thing that you're looking for, if you won't put in the work to try to change that reputation, try to be that example that you're looking for, that's the answer. Be the example of what you're trying to look for. And when you do that, you're going to find people that are either going to match you or not match you. And you're going to find out real quick which people are about you and which ones aren't. You know, you're going to find out real quick which people are envious. They just want you for sex. They want something from you. And then you're going to find out by being yourself and being that example that you're going to find out you're going to eventually attract those real people that you vibe with, you know? And so I feel like when it comes to real life dating, a lot of us have lost touch with real genuine conversation and communication, especially because of phones. I feel like that's another thing that needs to be, you know, worked on, is we tend to use the phone as a big hobby, and as much as it brings us a lot of usefulness in our life, and it really does. When it comes to human interaction, the intimacy of conversation is probably more beautiful than just a conversation on the phone, of course, obviously. And so when it comes to dating apps, guys, be careful with that. Especially for predators. There's been situations out here where, you know, there's very odd, unusual people out there that, you know, especially homophobic people, people that are out to do bad, ugly, dark, nasty things to us just because, you know, that's who they are. There's horrible people out here, and dating apps is another way. It's like a gateway for some sort of chance for them, and there's been many situations of murder and all these things, guys. So be careful with that and make sure that they're at least genuine. I actually am not promoting or influencing any to get on these apps of any sort. I've actually, and I'll confess to y'all now for the sake of this video, I've never actually used Grindr or Scruff or Tinder or Plenty of Fish. Only one that I've actually used was Tammy. That's it. But Grindr, no. I heard about that when, you know, long time ago, and I've heard enough of it to just get turned off by it. And so I've never done the whole Grindr app thing or any other, you know, app for sexual matters at all. You know, that's just me. And that's not that's not me trying to slam anyone that does use it. Do your thing, live your life. But I've personally never done it because of the reputation that I heard about it. And you know, if you haven't had these weird situations happen to you, good. That's good. All to you. But there have been situations where, you know, some things have come out weird and unusual. And so be careful with that, guys. And when it comes to real life dating, be yourself and communicate. When it comes to these apps, be careful and make sure that their identity is verified. Number 7 is ignorance and misunderstandings. Not all people are accepting of every LGBT group. I've met people that say that they're cool with the community, and I end up finding out that, you know, though they're only cool with masculine gays. They're only cool with feminine lesbians. Oh, they're only cool with masculine lesbians because that's what they prefer. So that's another issue. Someone gives you that sort of communication, I wouldn't trust that. Just because someone accepts you because it's what they want according to their comfort of who you are, if they are accepting of you and only you, do you really think that that's true acceptance? No. I've heard of situations where people say, oh yeah, I'm supporting all the time, I support you too, I love you. But then there's been situations and stories where people if the LGBTQ community has anything to do with their own personal family members or anything like that on a personal level, oh, you be surprised how quick people change their character. And it's like, wow, that was the real you. You wanted to tell me that you accepted me because I'm your friend, but you can't even accept your brother or your sister or, you know, anyone for that matter in your family, but you're trying to tell me that you're okay with me. No ma'am, no sir, no way. I don't trust you. I don't trust that. And that's what I would look out for, guys. Don't befriend people like that. And so, another thing I wanted to get talking about was polymorphs and polysexual. This seems to be, in 2020 and 21, the heaviest thing in our community these days. And it's on the uprise. Everyone seems to be trying it and doing it now, and I feel like we need to talk about having respect for those who are still monogamous individuals. I'll use me for an example. I am not into that. I do believe in one guy, one partner on an emotional level. But I would not mind, according to different studies and different research that I gathered from experience and other friends and talking to my elders, that a lot of partnerships and marriages tend to last longer when you keep the intimacy interesting. And so that's pretty much the only thing that I'm open to, is maybe like a threesome every once in a while. Someone that we both might find attractive. That's something that I'm into, but I would never want a third party in our connection, because I've heard many stories of that going completely wrong. And if you can make that last, all to you, that's fine. But I did want to remind everyone that I have seen lots of people say, "Oh, I'm poly, you're monogamous." Oh, can't do that. I want to do this. I want them, I want people, I want them, and I want whoever I want. That's cool, but just remember to have respect for those who are monogamous. We're still out here. And, we still want that one guy, and we just want to freshen up the bedroom to keep things interesting. That's it. And so we continue with, if you're feeling threatened by anyone who doesn't come across as accepting, defend yourself, please, verbally or physically. You have to. If it gets to that point, do so. If you don't have to, and you're, if they're not being physical and it's just verbal, defend yourself, but explain yourself respectfully that, hey, this is who I am, I don't appreciate that, this is what I am, this is what I like, I don't care that you don't like it, I'm going to go about my business, have a good day. If they don't stop, make the second option of defending yourself if you have to. But don't be afraid, defend who you are, defend what you like. And so we come to the next thing, which is transsexuality. This one in particular seems to be another heavy topic in the past 4 to 5 years, and it's probably the most talked about it's ever been. And let me make myself a little bit more clear. Transsexuality, polymorphs, and pansexuality seem to be the three things that are becoming the most known, most talked about, most practiced, things in the community. Those are the three most popular things in the community right now of 2021. And that's great, that's beautiful. So when it comes to transsexuality and how far we've come with that, I remember the year where, you know, we were trying to push for transsexual acceptance in the restrooms, and y'all remember how big that was. You know, it wasn't really too good, but, you know, we still pushed for it, of having, you know, with these unisexes and, you know, restrooms for everybody. You know, and that was a whole confusing thing to a lot of people because it was new to them. And so, when you think about it, ever since that happened, all the way to now, we have came a long way, and unfortunately, there have been so many deaths and stories and situations of just trying, of a transsexual person, of just trying to get accepted and heard. Because out of all the sexualities and everyone in this community, that one seems to be on the highest list of suicides. And that's messed up. That's horrible. So because of that, guys, I don't see the issue. I really don't. You know? Feminine looking man. Who cares? Masculine looking girl. Someone who identifies as asexual, non-binary. It doesn't matter. They're a person, right? They are who they are. They're human, right? If they choose to let you know who they are, let them do it, right? But to pick at them because you're confused, this is something you have to remind yourself. One, when a transsexual decides to express himself in a certain way, you have to also remember that by doing so, yes, you are being yourself. Keep doing it, but also keep in mind, this is for the trans, that by doing so, you have to remember that a lot of majority of people are still going to be ignorant and still going to be confused, especially the people that were raised a certain way, especially our elders, right? Especially if they were not in the community and they're confused about it, especially religious people, right? This is no slam on religious people as well, right? Anybody could be religious, regardless. But I've seen more hatred and ignorance when it comes to the religious community in general, so that's why I use that for an example. And so when it comes to that, transsexuality needs to be accepted, period. In every single way. Restaurants, gyms, relationships, family, public, everywhere, anywhere, anytime. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it, guys. It's just a person that's expressing themselves a certain way. And, you know, to end that on a positive note, we have come with a long way with it, and there have been studies that, you know, ever since that has been a heavier topic, we have successfully, you know, succeeded with transsexuals having more acceptance and more partners, you know, ever since that, you know, they have been on the spotlight in social media for a while. And so people have gravitated toward them a little bit more, which is great. That's what we needed. And so, with that, we have come a long way. And we're not done, but y'all are noticed, y'all are heard, y'all are loved. I myself as a gay man, you know, I wouldn't mind a transsexual. I'm not picky anymore. I'm not. Love is love. If I'm open to love at this point, you know, in all forms, friendship, partnership, or something in between, something on the outskirts of that. I don't know. I'm just open now. I want to be happy. And I want others to be happy too. And trying to be happy for some reason just tends to be that one weak spot, that one thing that people view as weak. You're happy? Oh, people don't want to see you happy. And that's sad. That's real sad because someone else doesn't have that. And so with that, my point is, guys, y'all are welcomed. We need to acknowledge the trans community. Y'all are loved, y'all are accepted, and we have y'all's back, always. Then we get to number 8, which is love, marriage, and friendships in the community. What does each mean to you? You know, how do you express it to others? You know, what do all three of those things mean to you as someone in the community? You know, figure that out with yourself and express that to others so people can know what your intentions are with all three. And so don't wish for those things, be those things. You want a friend? Be a friend. You want a partner? Be the accepting friendship. Be the accepting friend for the potential partner. And then tell that potential what your hopes, goals, and dreams are. Maybe that marriage might be considered. See if they have the same things in common with you when it comes to love, friendships, and all that in general. You know, communicate. I keep using that word because it's so vital. I feel like a lot of people don't express it enough, and a lot of people don't communicate as much. And I'm so thankful that I do it now. You know, I didn't used to do that, but I'm so thankful and happy that I do now. And so just know it's never too late for all those things. It's never too late. They can come to you any day, any hour, anyone. You just at least expect it. Guys, we're not alone. We're really not. We might feel like it. I've always felt like it. But in the end of every day, you know, everyone might be in the same boat as I. Feeling lonely, but coming to realize, hey, there's people everywhere for me to talk to. And so, by me talking to you right now, you know, how do I know that my next best friend, or a really good friend, or maybe even my soulmate, twin flame, future husband might be watching this video? You know, you never know. Like, you never know. So just keep in mind, just don't give up. And also, number 9, final message is, remember that our elders fought for where we are now. And let's celebrate that their victory, their blood, their sweat, and their tears. We have to remember that there is history with this community. And we can't forget that. And we cannot disappoint them. So what I'm really trying to say is, release the toxic ego and be the healthy example. If we do this, guys, we're gonna make our community, it would make our community so beautiful in the way that it's supposed to be. But I just wanted to have a chat with y'all, my own community, and everyone else outside of this community as well. I hope y'all learned something. If you feel like maybe there's other topics and other situations that you think I probably should have brought up, comment down below and bring up some good examples. Tell me what y'all thought, guys. You know, what is y'all's thoughts and comments on this? You know, tell me about y'all's experiences. Give this video a like. Subscribe to my channel, guys, and the more likes and subscribes I get, the more content that I'll be covering for y'all. And so, LGBTQ+, I gave y'all a talk. Thank y'all so much for listening to me this whole video. I hope it was informative, and I'll talk to y'all later.